Have you ever disliked someone or felt uncomfortable just because they were different? Hi, my name is Will Wolf, and I believe in the importance of learning to accept and appreciate differences. This is broadly true, like when I went to China with some of my classmates last summer and had to try food that was weird to me and stay with a family whose culture and home felt very strange to me. I learned a lot outside of my comfort zone. In the same way, we learn a lot from the awesomely diverse set of students we have here at St. Matthew's, like everything I've learned from my friends with different religions and from different cultures than me. But today, I want to talk about a specific kind of difference, and that is when people have disabilities. Not the invisible kind Samantha was talking to us about 2 weeks ago, but the very visible kind that my sister Ashley has. My sister, Ashley, has a brain disorder called cerebral palsy, CP for short. Cerebral palsy affects Ashley's muscle coordination, which means that she can't walk, talk, or see very well. However, she can still hear and understand what people say to her. As a result, she follows along in conversations, learns at school, cares about people, and loves her family and friends. But she can't express all of this in words. In addition to this, the combination of her CP and her wheelchair make her look different than most teenagers. Ashley is 3 years older than me, and she was born with CP. So to me, her disability is normal. It's just a part of the sister I know and love. But for others, this isn't the case, which I realized at my 7th birthday party. I had just moved to San Mateo from New York City, and I'd invited my entire class here at St. Matthew's to the party. We were having tons of fun, careening at breakneck speeds, down the slides, and chasing each other all over the play structure. Then it was time for cake, which I was really looking forward to. But then a kid walked past my sister to get in line for a slice, and another kid shouted, "Don't walk by her. She has a disease, and you could catch it." Obviously, this was a misunderstanding, an assumption made by a young child who didn't know why my sister looks different and has different abilities, and didn't know anything about CP, which is not a contagious disease. On some level, Ashley's differences frightened this child. Now, 7 years later, I can see how and why this happened, and I am able to put it in perspective. However, my first grade self took this quite hard. I couldn't understand why they thought my sister had a disease. She didn't look different to me because I had lived with her all my life. I didn't get why the other kids saw her as someone so different and frightening. Looking back, it seems that because Ashley looked so different, some of the kids at my party didn't easily see her humanity or grasp that she is a human being with thoughts and feelings just like them. Since they didn't make a connection with her as a person like them, they immediately distanced themselves from Ashley, labeling her as diseased. And they took it a step further, using the fear of catching her disease to keep their distance and warn others to keep away. It makes me sad to think about people failing to see Ashley as human, and even more sad to think of them ostracizing her, treating her like an outcast who might infect them. It would be easy to hear this story and think the kids were being mean or insensitive, or we might think they reacted this way because Ashley's differences pushed them out of their comfort zone, like I felt when I was in China. We might think it's harder to feel empathy across differences, and that's probably true, but I think that this is only a tiny piece of their reaction. The truth is, people are scared that another person's disability could possibly happen to them, and that inspires much more fear than visiting a foreign country or staying at a friend's house to eat a new kind of food. When people look at Ashley, they will generally think to themselves, "I sure hope that doesn't happen to me." This reaction is a self-preservation instinct that was hardwired into us through years of evolution. Take this scenario, for example. You meet someone who is sick, and not just the common cold type. Maybe they have a rash all over their body, or a noisy, wet cough that you just know is getting germs all over their hands when they cover their mouth. When you interact with this person, you don't want to be near them, and partly because you don't feel comfortable being with someone who is themselves so uncomfortable due to illness. But primarily, you want to get away because of your innate fear of catching the illness. You are actively scared of catching this rash or virus, and you want to lower the chances of that happening by distancing yourself from the afflicted. You think to yourself, "Thank goodness I am not sick, and I want to make sure that I never will be." This is more or less the same case with my sister. If someone isn't used to interacting with people with her kind of disability, they often feel scared and nervous around my sister. And on some level, I think that they are fearing becoming like her. But I am not condemning this response, or saying that if you've ever felt this way, you are a terrible person. This is a perfectly normal human reaction, and is in no way your fault. You shouldn't feel guilty about your natural instincts to keep yourself safe. Yet, once those feelings arise in you, you should notice them and make sure that you don't let them govern all of your interactions with this person. Once you have assessed that you aren't in any real danger, you should take time to notice the person who is different. Become curious about them and ask questions, because that is the main way that people begin to understand that someone like Ashley is a human being, one that is capable of listening, understanding, and loving. Once you have broken past the initial barrier of your fear and discomfort, practice empathy and compassion around people like my sister, and I promise you, you will be rewarded. Ashley is so friendly and full of joy, and she gives a big, heartfelt smile to anyone who takes the time to talk to her. In the passage that Kevin read for us, Jesus is walking down a road with his disciples when they encounter a blind man. The disciples question Jesus, "Who sinned, this man or his parents?" Jesus then replies, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed within him." To me, this story is about my sister and others with differences and disabilities that make them look, sound, or act differently. Instead of being labeled as different, they should be thought of as special individuals, each one revealing God's love and beauty in unique ways. Ashley's cerebral palsy should not be looked at like a disease, but rather a trait that makes her special and shows us what's really important about being human and made in God's image. One extraordinary thing about Ashley is that she is constantly happy. While other people might look at her with unease or pity, she is comfortable and joyful being herself. She doesn't seem to feel sad that she can't play sports, read a book by herself, or stand in this pulpit to give a chapel talk of her own. This quality of hers has taught me so much about what's important in life. It's not my abilities or what I achieve. It's about being alive and being grateful for it and sharing that joy with others, those I love and everyone I meet. Maybe you haven't met a person like my sister yet in your life, so you might think none of this matters very much to you. I would like to finish off this talk by describing why all of this is so important. You may think, yeah, acceptance and everything, but where do I come in? Well, you come in because, like Ashley, you too are human. But what does it mean to be human? My definition comes from what I've learned from my sister. To be human is to have all of the characteristics that we sometimes take for granted. To be able to listen, to feel sympathy, to laugh, to learn, to understand, and to love. Being human doesn't mean you have to even look remotely like me or the rest of us here. You might be covered in burn scars or missing limbs or born with a facial deformity like Augie in Wonder. You don't have to be an A student or a great athlete. You just have to be able to feel and care. Because at the end of the day, being human, made in God's image, is not about what we look like. It's about revealing God's love and beauty in our own unique ways, and about sharing that love and our joy with others in thanks for being alive. Fellow humans, please take the time to notice the humanity of people who look different from you. There's nothing to be afraid of. In fact, you might find you enjoy being human a little more after exchanging a smile with my sister Ashley or someone like her. Thank you.